When I was younger and before my conversion to Christianity, I lived on a daily diet of heavy and dark music. Not only did I take every chance I could to listen to it, but I also took every chance to play it on my guitar. One of the things that I think was really appealing about it to a skinny and unassuming teenager like me was that it was noisy and unambiguous. It's the kind of thing that can get you a lot of attention, the way that anything that is loud and obnoxious can get anyone attention. There's no subtlety to it. Not only does it leave you with an impression that it will get you a lot of attention, but for the right kind of temperament and character and personality, again, maybe someone who is more insecure, it gives you the impression that it will give you the right kind of attention, which is this sense that it will make you respected and feared because it's so dangerous. And I'm not saying that that's actually what it does, but to this naive personality, that's what you think it will do. And I recently heard a song that I really liked on the radio but hadn't heard for a long time, and after being removed from that genre for as long as I have now, and hearing it again, I feel like I had enough perspective that I could look at it a little more objectively, obviously, than I did when I was really into it. And to be honest, I just laughed at it. It felt like it was such an obvious attempt to appear to be tough and scary. One of the bands I was really into near the end of my infatuation with this kind of music is a band called Opeth, whose Wikipedia bio describes their vocals as sounding demonic, which is to say, it's obvious what you're going for here. You're going for the perception of being evil or scary. And for reasons that aren't really clear to me, I recently played a clip from one of their heavier songs to a few of my kids who range in age from 0 to 11, and their immediate reaction was to laugh at it. They thought this must be satirical, because there's no way someone would seriously try this hard to sound tough and scary. And if they are seriously trying to do that, then this is something of a pathetic exhibition of insecurity, because anybody who's trying this hard must be compensating for something. And this is, I think, a fitting description of what attracts people to Satanism or the preoccupation with the demonic. Opeth, especially their older stuff, and bands like them are something of a soundtrack to this kind of culture. I think that they get a thrill out of the scariness and the dangerousness of it all, or at least the feeling that they will be seen as dangerous themselves for being associated with it. They get a thrill out of mocking or thumbing their nose at God or the sacred, because doing something dangerous and surviving is thrilling. That's what thrill seeking is all about. This brings us to the first absurdity in satanic fascination. If mocking God makes you feel or look dangerous, it can only be because there's some actual danger in doing so. It concedes to some degree that God exists, because if he didn't exist, there would be no point in putting so much effort into mocking him. That's the reason nobody spends any time or effort blaspheming or mocking Thor or Odin, including myself. Why would you if you were convinced that they don't exist, which is what the Church of Satan claims about God? They claim to be atheistic. But again, I'm an atheist as far as it concerns Odin, Thor, Krishna, or Moloch, which is why I don't spend any time thinking about them. I don't use their names in vain. I don't spend any energy mocking them or those who have devotions to them. In short, I don't fixate any of my attention on that which is not, because that would be a waste of my time, and this attitude reflects my lack of belief or concern in those deities. But Satanists and atheists seem to be obsessed with especially the Christian formulation of God. And this brings us to the second absurdity of Satanism, which is that it's entirely derivative. I think one of the reasons that some people are attracted to Satanism is because it can make them feel or appear really unique and original. But the truth is, it's completely contingent upon something else, namely the Catholic religion. If Catholicism didn't exist, then Satanism wouldn't exist. It derives its entire identity from Catholicism. It's a parasitic enterprise that needs to feed off of something original in order to borrow its rites and its symbols and even its use of the Latin language to make it appear to be ancient and esoteric, when in reality, it's just plagiarism. The satanic Black Mass is derivative of the Catholic Mass, except it's a mockery of it. which is actually interesting that that's something that we tolerate in modern society, because it seems to me that the one thing that we don't tolerate anymore is intolerance. For all our hand-wringing obsessiveness about tolerance, diversity, and respect for other people, especially those who are different from ourselves, it's a glaring inconsistency that we turn a blind eye towards Satanism, which, according to the standard definitions, is nothing more than a hate group. We can't talk about racial slurs in an academic context without teachers' jobs getting threatened. We can't talk about cartoons about Muhammad in a similar academic context without teachers' lives being threatened. Yet, a person can go into a Catholic Mass and steal a consecrated host, the most sacred object within the Catholic religion, in order to desecrate it in their own bizarro Mass in order to provoke Catholics and Catholicism. And what about all the plagiarism in Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible? Even the name is plagiarized. The Satanic Bible? Are you so wholly dependent upon Christian words and symbols for your identity that you couldn't come up with your own name for your religious texts? Anton LaVey's own daughter, who was a high priestess and a spokesperson for a long time for the Church of Satan, eventually renounced her affiliation with it when she found out that her dad's self-cultivated image was entirely based on lies and that most of his works were plagiarized. Much of the philosophy, if you can call it that, I think that's a little generous, is borrowed and sampled from a variety of places, but in a very incoherent way. Kind of like what happens when a glutton gets into a Caribbean buffet at a resort. His appetite is so unrestrained that he can't help but slop all kinds of incompatible things onto his plate, so that he ends up with things like ice cream and sprinkles on top of his bacon. Something like that philosophically is going on with LaVeyan Satanism. The third absurdity I want to identify, and maybe I'll leave it here for now, is how much explicit ignorance they demonstrate for that which they hate, being Christianity, which is characteristic of most hate groups. Most hate groups are often motivated by fear and ignorance, which propels their antagonism for the thing that they hate. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen somebody with an upside-down cross band logo t-shirt that is supposed to look satanic and think, how stupid do you look right now? Because this is one of the symbols that Satanists have. They think that they've hijacked and then inverted as a mockery of Christianity, when in fact, that's the symbol of the papacy. That's the symbol of devotion to St. Peter. The reason that's a symbol of the papacy is because St. Peter is considered the first pope. And when he was martyred under the Roman Empire, under Emperor Nero, he did not want the same honor of death that Jesus experienced in crucifixion, so he asked to be crucified upside down. That's why the inverted cross is a symbol of the papacy, and Satanists go around using this symbol thinking that they're mocking Christianity. And while we're on that topic, if you want to talk about originality, courage, and just general badassery, if that's important to you, then let me introduce you to St. Peter and the Martyrs. These are people who were so immune to the worst things that powerful people could throw at them that they were beyond the controlling influences of despots. People like St. Lawrence, who was confronted by a Roman prefect and told that you have to hand over all the wealth of the Christian church and community here, or else, whose response was to defiantly take all that wealth and then give it to the poor and then present the poor to them, saying, this is the wealth of the church. He was then executed for that, and then during his execution, they burned him alive. He at one point famously said, I think you can turn me over now, I'm done on this side. If rebelliousness and standing against unjust powers is attractive to you, then Satanism is just a plagiarized counterfeit of the real thing. What you're really looking for is the church, who for the first 3 centuries of her existence defiantly refused to sell out to the Roman Empire, arguably the most powerful empire the world has ever known, who was so threatened by Jesus and his ragtag group of apostles and followers that they relentlessly persecuted, tortured, and murdered them at every opportunity, but were unsuccessful in suppressing them. Until eventually, without lifting a single finger in physical opposition to their tormentors, the church prevailed against that great empire, such that the cross, which was used as a symbol of terror, eventually topped all the citadels of Rome. Hey, thanks for watching that. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to like and subscribe for more. And if you want to support the making of content like this, then please consider joining my online community, The Reinforcements. It's kind of like Patreon, but instead of being beholden to a big tech company, it's a website I built entirely myself. So there's no risk of us being censored or shut down or anything like that. There are hundreds of people who have already signed up, and our mission is to renew and reinforce the church. So if that's you, then come check it out. As an added bonus for certain tiers, I will also send you a gift box from Glory and Shine, which is a Catholic, family-owned and operated company. They make bath and body products. They're actually their beard balm I'm supporting, or I'm sporting right now. I'm not just a spokesperson, I'm actually a customer. So even if you don't join the reinforcements, maybe check them out anyways. Glory and Shine, they're an amazing company.